Thank you for listening to this Podcast One Sportsnet production, available on Apple Podcasts and Podcast One.
Hey, California, the California Neighbor Pass is back at Universal Studios Hollywood. So for only $149, you can go on over 175 days of adventures. Begin your adventure today and come back this summer for the new Dark Arts at Hogwarts Castle, an ominous nighttime spectacle of light and music. And Jurassic World The Ride. Visit UniversalStudiosHollywood.com to get our California Neighbor Pass with over 175 days for $149 online. Pass valid for 9 months from selected first visit date. Blackout dates and restrictions apply.
Have fun with your important conversations and your big issues with your brains and your smart stuff, okay? We got hockey to learn.
Dr. Hockey.
Welcome to the Dr. Hockey Podcast. This is Dr. Jay Calvert. I'm on with Dr. Jason Berkley by Skype, and we just witnessed the Carolina Hurricanes beating the Washington Capitals in overtime to advance into the second round of the playoffs. Jason, what's the word here? What is the deal?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind is what piece of electronics did Mia Khalifa destroy? Because when Duke lost in the NCAA tournament to my Spartans, she chucked her phone across the room and broke it. So I think the Capitals losing is going to probably warrant a 85-inch big screen TV being ripped off the wall and chucked down the steps.
I'm sure that's exactly what happened. Yeah, I mean, this is a huge blow to the Stanley Cup champions of last year.
You know what? And that's fine because it gives other teams a chance, and it shows one glaring thing, that coaching makes the difference with this team.
Well, and it definitely made the difference tonight. I mean, it's very obvious that this team is younger and faster, but doesn't have the all-star power of Washington. But the Carolina Hurricanes, they showed up and they stayed in it. They came back and they won this game.
They're a bunch of jerks. You know what they call themselves?
Oh yeah, they are the bunch of jerks. And
I wasn't saying it like I call them. I think they're jerks.
No,
that's what they call them. I mean, that's what they call themselves. And believe me, if they were at home and they won that Game 7 at home, their celebration would have been out of control.
No, it's all Don Cherry. I mean, that's the thing. It's totally insane.
Yeah, well, Don's been known to stir the pot a few times in his career.
Well, I gotta say, I'm excited for the next round.
Me too.
I mean, the Canes now have the Islanders, correct?
Yeah, no, I mean, here's the thing. Islanders, great team. It's a situation where they're running into a Canes team that's really been bonding over the last probably 3 months or so. And again, I hate to sound cliched, and if I am, please just forgive me. But the Islanders haven't played in, a week?
No, they haven't, and that's always an issue, isn't it?
It always is an issue. It makes a difference, and I don't know how teams compensate for that. I mean, do you call up the minor league team and have actual scrimmages to keep them going, to keep that momentum and that hunger going? Is it not going to affect them? I mean, these are things that does play a role. Then again, you say to yourself, are the Hurricanes going to be tired because they went to 7 games? Are they going to be a little more beat up and bruised up? So it's just, the cliches and the typical commentating that you're going to see for the next, couple days till that series starts is going to be just endless of these cliches that you just heard me say.
Well, you are being cliche. I just want to go on record for that.
I'm a big cliche. I'm a 6'7" cliche. That's the truth.
Well, so let's look at the other series. I mean, Islanders.
Before we get into that, I have to go on record as saying that while it's the Golden Knights' responsibility, are we on this? Are we not going to get to this yet, or you want to wait to get to this part? Because I'm chomping at the bit to talk about what happened.
No, let's go right to it. I mean,
okay.
let's talk about the San Jose Sharks beating the Vegas Golden Knights and how that happened.
So here's the deal. You have a team that's beating on every aspect on the ice. The Golden Knights are beating the Sharks. It's 2.5 periods exactly into the game. They're up 3-0. San Jose can't mount an attack or anything else. And there's a face-off. And I see this play happen a million times in a season. There's a face-off. there's either a cross check or a glove to the ribs or something else that happens to push the other guy away to get the puck. It just so happened that Eakin pushed Pavelski. Pavelski, and inadvertently he was off balance, and Stastny was coming for the puck and hit into him as well. It was not a dirty hit. He falls to the ice, hits his head, and is bleeding. Now, of course, nobody wants to see a player hurt. Obviously, nobody wants to see Pavelski hurt. He's a captain. You want him to be, not in that situation, obviously. But all the refs did in that situation is see a guy fall down. There's blood on the ice. There must be a penalty, and they call it. Now, fine. You want to call a penalty, you call a 2-minute for cross-check, and you leave it at that.
Right. The 5-minute major was way overkill.
Ridiculous. It was just so uncalled for. It was just over the top. And again, as I've been ranting about for the last, I don't know how long I've been doing this podcast, and I've been doing it for years prior to that, they let the injury dictate the punishment.
Right, and that's the thing, is that it is a emotional response by the refs. It wasn't an assessment and a decision making based on the penalty that should have been assessed, and it was overkill. I mean, Pavelski got hurt, we get it, but And
all I heard all day long today on a lot of the different talk shows for the NHL and for hockey was, we need instant replay to fix this problem. Okay. Well, you can't instant replay the entire game, because then it'll be like a 6 or 7 hour affair, and people are going to get bored with it. Every time somebody doesn't like a call, there's going to be a stoppage in play. If you want to do that for penalties for these situations, or for a situation where someone's not quite sure, but if there's blood on the ice or someone's bleeding, you can go back and review that play. I would be okay with that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that this was one that just it got away from everybody, and it's because it was Pavelski. And he didn't see the hit coming. He didn't.
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter who it is. It shouldn't matter if a guy's on the ice and happens to hit his head. If the guy gives a regular, basic, clean check, and his lip happens to hit the glass, and he's bleeding, do you call it boarding?
No, I know.
It's stupid. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It was complete stupidity. Now, the other side of the coin, the Golden Knights need to buckle down and understand that the call's made, and like it or not, that's part of the game. You got to kill the penalty. You can't let 4 straight goals in and then bitch and whine about it afterwards, even when you lose in overtime, another chance to try to win it. And I see their point, don't get me wrong, but you have to then say, okay, fine, this is the hand we're dealt. You got to kill the penalty. So you know what? I feel for Marchessault. I saw the anger and the frustration in his post-game interview, and I'm sure he doesn't normally, swear like that during interviews, and I totally get it, and I totally empathize with him. But again, by the same token, his team needed to kill the penalties.
Yes, they did.
At least don't let 4 straight goals in.
I mean, they took basically 4 shots and got 4 goals.
Yeah. I mean, would they pull the goalie?
I know. It was unbelievable. And that was some poor management by the Vegas Golden Knights, and who were shell-shocked by the penalty. They were, I don't know, the wheels came off for them. That's for sure.
Wheels came off. It wasn't even just after the first goal. After the call was made, they were so livid, and I think they just got flustered and just lost their heads. And there you go. That's it. That's the and again, listen, I also feel bad for the Vegas fans. Listen, these are long-suffering fans, have been through trials and tribulations that many clubs cannot understand. These fans have been around for a long, long time, through thick and thin. I mean, listen, think back to, last year in the Cup Finals? But welcome to the NHL, Golden Knights fans, because yes, you're going to get screwed, and it's going to happen again, and you'll have to just get used to it. We've all been there.
I don't know. I detect a hint of sarcasm in your voice there, Dr. Berkley. Are you saying that the Golden Knights are just a new franchise and they have to get used to some pain and agony like all the rest of us?
If I have to explain my sarcasm, it's not sarcasm.
There you go. Well, I just want to spell it out for everyone because.
No, but I listen.
The Vegas Golden Knights fans feel they have been through trials and tribulations.
I agree. Well,
they lost last year in the Stanley Cup final, and they didn't get into the second round this year. So,
but I do empathize with them on this. I empathize with them on this for sure. And we've all been there on some place or another that there's been a horrible call that's affected the outcome of a big game. And it's just get used to it because it's like I said, it's going to happen again.
Well, the Sharks advance.
Yep.
I think if you recall my text, I said watch because the three guys on the Sharks that want to get to the Stanley Cup are Logan Couture, Timo Meier, and Tomas Hertl. And sure enough, it was Logan Couture with 2 of those goals and Tomas Hertl with 1. And then LeBanc took one in also. But these 3 guys, I will tell you, and I might. I know that Carlson and Thornton and all them want to get a cup too.
Not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Listen, if we've learned anything so far between last season of doing the brackets and especially this season, I stink at predictions.
Yes,
I'm terrible.
Awful.
I am awful. And if anybody's listening to me, as I told you yesterday, if anyone was betting on my predictions or anything else I had to say, you're living on the cardboard box underneath the overpass over here off the 4 to the 405 because you were walking around wearing a barrel based on the fact that of what I picked. But
I have never seen anybody wearing a barrel, but that is how that's how they depicted I'm broke in the cartoons.
Yes, there was nothing clothing wise to find, just a barrel with some straps over the shoulder, but. I did see that one time in Vegas. I think somebody was wearing a barrel, but they wouldn't let him on the plane with it. So
that is classic.
But
awesome.
Listen, it's a situation where guys are battling hard, and it's a game 7. It's a bad call to make, but you got to be able to pick yourself up and move on. So moving on, we're going to move on to the second round, I think, because the reality is I don't know anybody whoever have picked this second round, if they did, they're cheating because this second round. I mean, you want to start in the East or the West? You pick.
Well, I mean, I think there are some people in our bracket challenge that are doing well. By the way, I mean,
yeah, you know what? I haven't even had the heart to look at it because I know that I'm probably either last or dead to last.
I'll take a peek while we're chit chatting here, but I know, and also I got a text from. Kim Brisson that Pat Brisson has in his fake bracket because he obviously can't bet. He picked the Jackets. He picked
really
yeah. So he picked going forward. Unbelievable. His picks are crazy.
I'm going to send him a text next year, and I'm going to have to ask him. I have to save face at some point. I'm going to have to ask him for next year for his picks.
He has Carolina, Columbus, Colorado, San Jose, and Boston advancing.
Unbelievable. Well, listen, he knows this better than anybody, I think, and it's his job to. So, good for him. I mean, that's it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's obviously just like in our bracket. There's no betting, although the winner of our bracket does get to come on to the Dr. Hockey podcast.
And of course, Pat has an open door policy with us, so it's not like he'd be winning anything if he did do it. We would have him every day if we could at this point. So.
I think we could. I think we'd learn a lot from him.
Yeah. I would not, and one thing I would learn for sure is not to suck with me picking brackets because that's terrible. I am just awful at it.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to do. I have to say.
But I did pick St. Louis, so I just got that one going.
Yeah, I got St. Louis and Dallas were my 2 advancers.
Yeah.
So I have that. I had the Vegas Golden Knights, and they're out, and I had I think I had Calgary going forward. I don't know. I have to take a look. Oh wait, here we go. I had, the only team that I have left that can go anywhere is just St. Louis into the next round. Then I had them losing to the Vegas Golden Knights. Not happening.
That is not going to happen.
Nope, that's over. Those days, that ship has sailed. So my bracket is down to Boston.
Don't even discuss mine.
Yeah, I had Boston and Tampa Bay in this round, but it's Boston and the
Jackets.
Yeah, and the Blue Jackets. So we have Boston Jackets, and then we have Carolina Islanders.
Yep.
Wow. Amazing.
And then we have in the West, we have
Dallas,
Colorado,
Blues.
San Jose, and St. Louis and Dallas. And listen, I mean, you're talking about being able to predict this. So listen, if you're going to go, we'll start. I think we should start over with the Blue Jackets and the Bruins.
I mean, for me, I think this is a Jackets win because the Bruins are they're doing great. They're playing well, but I think that the speed of the Jackets is going to prove to be too much for the Bruins.
I think, listen, at this point, I think you would be an absolute fool to underestimate the Blue Jackets. Now, could their first round have been a fluke? I don't